I have this really serious. We got one that was from someone who wanted to remain anonymous, who was talking about the fact that she had wrestled with depression all her life, that she was having suicidal thoughts. I'm not going to read the email because we've gotten a few like this, and I'm always very wary of bringing them on the air. I don't want anybody to think that I'm a doctor or psychologist or any of those things. I'm none of those things, and these are problems that you can't solve alone. I try not to make a recommendation of getting help the last recommendation I make because I know sometimes it's difficult. But the thing about suicide is I have worked for several hotlines, and there are a lot of resources for people who are feeling suicidal or depressed. You don't have to just go into therapy. You can also call the National Suicide Hotline. There's a crisis text line. You can do it by text if you want, if you feel more comfortable doing that. There's the Samaritans. There's a lot of different places that handle suicidal ideas, and it's a good place to go. I can tell you, as a person who had a troubled early life, I mean, I've always said I've lived two lives. I feel at this point I'm almost in a third life at this point, but the first part of my life was really difficult. I did have suicidal thoughts. I can tell you that I felt like I was in the blackest place imaginable, and it turned out I was not. I was actually very close to breaking out and having a much, much better life, the beginning of an actual new life. So you should never, ever give up. If you're worried, one thing this person said in her email was that she was worried about the mess she would leave behind. Suicide leaves a terrible mess. Your family will never get over it. Your friends will never get over it. It breaks everything. Don't do it. It is like what they say. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And look, if you're permanently depressed, that may take some medication too. I mean, I'm a big fan of therapy instead of medication, but sometimes I've heard that people use the medication so they can get enough energy to get the therapy, and that can work too.